Good morning. Happy November 17th, 2021. It is a beautiful, crisp fall day here in Kentucky, in Western Kentucky. And I'm so glad. I thought it was going to rain all day long. And I'm excited to see what all I'll get done today. Hopefully it'll be a lot. I'm going to allow God to order my steps. And it's already been a lovely morning. The kids are at school. The dogs are at the groomers. And here I am. I just had breakfast. You'll see a picture of it tomorrow morning. So you just saw everything I ate yesterday. This is going to work out well. This is how I'm going to handle these next. Yesterday I was saying next 14 days. It's actually 15 days, which I love. Instead of a 14-day challenge, it's a 15-day commitment to God with you all as my witnesses. So each day from here until December 1st, my video will start like that. 4 little pictures. So very quickly this morning, I have 2 numbers, a phrase, and 4 C's for you. And I am going to pause periodically, just like this. So that I can include the graphic of the words. Just for the added, I love when videos, I've watched several actually, I can think of some where when I'm listening to them, then they show me, you all know I'm very visual. So when they say the scripture, then they show the scripture. So I do that often on here. I go ahead and I put the words, the wording as a little, I edit these videos on a little app. Anyways, okay, so 4 numbers, 1 phrase, 4 C's. And then I'm going to get rolling because I need to call Darlene and order a standing shower. I need to call Lowe's and order 3 toilets. I need to call the county clerk and get Thomas's truck registered. Then get back home, balance the checkbook, do the dishes, do the laundry, clean the whole house. You know the deal. You know the deal. This is why I allow God to order my steps, because it's like when my husband was in law school. He came home one day and he said, I really think they purposely give us way more than we could accomplish, basically to weed some of us out. He said it sort of seems like they purposely give us more than we could ever do. And see how we handle it. And he had a lot, because he had, Greg was, at that time, had a newborn baby. We had a newborn baby while he was in law school. And it was with that newborn baby that I was experiencing severe, I'm quoting my doctor on that, severe postpartum depression. So Greg is awesome. At one point he was in law school with a wife who was suicidal and a 10-week-old baby, a 12-week-old baby. It was a lot. It was a lot for all of us. I remember it well. I was there suffering right on through it with Greg. And those are beautiful moments that not only forged our marriage in fire, but I experienced things that I'm glad I experienced, that I'm grateful I experienced, that I am so grateful that God carried me through, which I've jokingly said the footprints prayer, I call the butt prints prayer. There's times he carried me, there's times he drugged me. And I can see it coming. I'm like, oh, do we have to? Must we go through that? And he's like, come on. So he drags me right on through. At the end of that poem, there was 1 set of footprints and 1 long line in the sand. And I asked God, what is that line in the sand? And he said, that, my darling, is your butt print where I drug you. Anyways, I'm not complaining. Greg and I have been through a lot, and we're grateful for it. Speaking of so much, it's way more. People say God will not give you more than you can handle. I've said many times that's not scripture. That's a misunderstanding of 2 Corinthians 10:13, that God is not going to give us he's not going to allow us to be tempted. He will not allow us to be tempted beyond what we can handle. He will always give us a way out. There is no temptation yet what is common to man, and God will give us a way out. 2 Corinthians 10:13. That does not say he's not going to give us more than we can handle. He says he's not going to allow us to be tempted by the tempter beyond what we can bear. Isn't that interesting to think that God does allow us to experience temptation? Of course he does. If we experience it, he's allowed us to experience it. So Romans 8:28. God uses all things. All things work together for the good of those who are called according to his purpose, including those sneaky little schemes that the enemy's up to. God uses those. I don't know exactly how. I don't know exactly what all he's up to. His ways are higher than mine. His thoughts are higher than mine. His perspective is way higher than mine. We talk about a bird's eye view. He's got a God's eye view. But I trust that if he's allowed us to experience it, including temptation, that there is good. He will use it for good. He's working all things out for the good of those called according to his purpose. So while he doesn't give us more than while he doesn't allow us to be tempted beyond what we can bear, he gives us way more than we can handle. Why? Well, maybe so that we realize we cannot handle all this. That's a relief. And we reach out to him for help. And we ask him, please order my steps. Please prioritize my priorities. Like I said, dishes, laundry, the whole deal. My house is a wreck. That's why I'm glad to not be in it right now. My car is a wreck. There's a little bit of what's going on in here. But not to the extent of my home. I do have help coming. I've got some girls coming to help me tomorrow. But they cannot clean my house with the shape it's in right now. I always tell them I have to do a lot of work to get to the point where they can help me. Not to mention, yikes, I got a sermon to write, but I trust it will get written before Saturday morning at 9 a.m. It will. Tell me it will. It will. So, here I am, getting ready to call Darlene, getting ready to call Lowe's, getting ready to get Thomas's truck. Ooh, just the list. It's such a blessing. It's such a blessing. I just talked to my mom. She's having a day like that too. She said, I've got this insurance guy coming and then a load of dirt coming and she's working on her landscaping. And I said, oh, Mom, this is literally exactly, precisely, Mom, I'm going to talk about you here, precisely what I wanted for her. After my dad passed and she had what a therapist called widow brain. Like when a twin loses their twin or a spouse loses their spouse and they have to develop new synapses and new neural pathways and their brain has to learn to function and fire off differently because it's been firing off as a unit, as two as one for years. She had widow brain for a while and she was struggling with grief and obviously gripped with some depression, some overwhelm. And I remember thinking, I want her... I'm going to show you a picture of it, actually. I just thought of something. I want her to have a home to make. I want her brain firing off. I want her excited about things. I want her busy. I want her to have appointments. I want her to have places she needs to go, things she needs to do. A full life with work. The work is a blessing. Colossians 3:23, let us work for the Lord, not for man. And let us work. It's so good. It's so healthy. It's what we're created to do. We're created to move and think and produce and create. So, not long after my dad passed, I gave my mom a $50 gift card to Lowe's. And I said, this is for you, because she couldn't even fathom leaving the home that they'd raised their 4 children in, that he had built with his own hands. My dad was a general contractor in Louisville. He built this big, beautiful home. And it was like, she couldn't, Mom, you're living your Habakkuk 1:5. When God said, if you knew the plans I had for you, you couldn't even imagine them. Let's all just trust right now that God has gifts for us that we don't even have to be able to imagine. We don't have to be able to imagine them for him to give them to us. It's by design. It's by design that we know we need him. And it's by design that he gets to surprise us. Because we can't even imagine what he has for us. My mom couldn't even imagine. It didn't even make sense to her. She could not see or envision leaving the home she was in. So we went on a scavenger hunt looking for homes. And she would tell me, this one, oh, I just feel this is just so much, this feels depressing to be in this neighborhood, or this place, or this yard is too small, or the house is too this or that, or just so many things. I said, excellent. All that means is turn. That means turn. You're at a fork in the road, turn. When I was discerning my call to ministry, I had a Methodist minister this woman tell me, follow the peace. So we call it a peace dread test. When you come to a fork in the road, if that feels like dread, then turn the other way. Excellent. She was wanting to have to go through this whole emotional thing every time we saw these homes. Mom, I'm really talking about you here. Every time we would go visit a home and it wasn't right, I could tell it just causes all this emotional turmoil that she then had to recover from. I said, no, time out. If you get all those feelings, then let's pivot. Let's turn. That's excellent. That's an answer. We're on a scavenger hunt. He says, seek and you shall find. Not hold your hand out and I'll set it right in your hand. He wants us to seek. He wants us to have some skin in the game, let's make some effort. Matthew 7:7, seek and you shall find, ask and you shall receive, knock and the door shall be open. Look what he's telling us to do. Take action. James 4:8, draw. Seek, ask, knock, draw. These are all verbs. Draw near to me and I will draw near to you. He's not only telling us to take action, but he's giving us the opportunity to take action. I've said so many times, God loves us. He loves us enough and too much, actually, to force himself on us. That's not love. So my mom and I would go visit a house, and she would know right away it wasn't right. But then she, bless her heart, she kind of got, just sent her into a tailspin of depression again. And I was like, slaps. Listen here, woman. I want to slap her. Slap her. You don't have to get all emotional. That's our answer. Not that house. We can cross that off the list. We can narrow that out. So let's pivot. Let's keep turning. Let's keep moving on this scavenger hunt. And we did. We kept moving. And God blessed my mom with the most perfect home. And right after my dad passed, I was saying, I gave my mom a $50 Lowe's gift card and said, take this. Take this to Lowe's, and I want you to use this to buy yourself a welcome mat for your new home that you're going to make, that you're going to have. And by the way, the home she's in, it needs some remodeling. It needs some repair. All that's a blessing. It's all things for her to sink her teeth into, to light her brain up, to get things firing off, to use the gifts that she has. She's so good at homemaking and making it cozy and lovely. And it's a temple. The Holy Spirit dwells within her, and he dwells within that home. And when you walk in, you sense his presence. Good work, Mom. Very, very good work. So yesterday, I believe, it was either yesterday or the day before, but I think it was yesterday, she sent me a picture. My dad passed. In January, it'll be 4 years, maybe 3 years. 3 years. It'll be 3 years in January. She sent me a picture yesterday of the welcome mat. She's in this beautiful little home. She has deer that come up in her backyard. There's a lake. It's in a neighborhood 2 miles down the road from where she used to live. It's an absolute little piece of heaven, and it's perfect for her. So by the grace of God, my mom is having one of those super fun, busy, productive days, like I am about to have. And that's why I'm pulled over here now to chat with you all. Excuse me, while I get my steering wheel set up so I can rest my phone on my steering wheel. Let's chat. 2 numbers, 1 phrase, 4 C's. 2 numbers. 1,440. That's how many minutes there are in a day. 24 hours times 60 minutes, 1,440. I was thinking about this yesterday. I talked to my kids about this this morning. I thought I'd just share this with you. Every single day we're given the gift of 1,440 minutes to spend. That's one of our resources that comes from the source. A resource from the source. God is the source. Everything else is a resource. And every day we have a handful of things to spend. Time, money, and energy to begin with. There's other things that we spend. But time, money, and energy. I was talking to my kids this morning and I wanted to explain this to them because apparently some boy told Mary and called Clara a name. Well, come to find out, this boy used to be in Clara's class last year, but he got held back. So now he's in Mary's class. So Franklin came up with a few things that Mary could go to school and call him. The whole thing was not very nice. It was kind of funny to hear 3 little kids. And it was nice. My little mommy ears enjoyed hearing siblings sticking up for each other. And it was not nice what this boy called Clara. But this is what I explained to my kids because I started thinking about this yesterday. I got a text. And I had a, what's the word? Visceral? I believe the word is visceral response to it. An emotional response. I'm going to check on that. Okay, I was right. Visceral, relating to deep internal feelings as opposed to intellect. Listen to what that's saying. Visceral, deep-seated emotions versus intellect. I heard a couple months ago when we have a visceral, somebody was talking about a visceral response, a visceral reaction to this, which made me think, wow, I want to start to pay attention to when I have a visceral, V-I-S-C-E-R-A-L, when I have a visceral reaction or even response. And the difference between reaction and response is a little pause. We want to respond to people around us, not necessarily react. But even if it's a response, a visceral response, I want to really start to notice that in myself. I heard Deepak Chopra once, I believe that's who it was, say, you know what, we don't have to react to everything. And I was like, so smart, Deepak. So smart. That's so true. When something happens, like you knock something over and break a glass, it's knocked over, the glass is broken, it needs to be cleaned up. We can choose whether or not to freak out and get upset and then have to recover from those emotions. It knocked over, the glass is broken, we freaked out, took 20 minutes screaming at people and then having to apologize and just carrying on, and then our emotions peaked and then came back down, and then we had to clean it up. If we want to, we can just skip that 3rd step. We can skip that altogether. We can just see that it fell over, see that it broke, and start cleaning it up. Which is why I coined the term opportunity. An opportunity to mop. An opportunity to make things better than they were 10 minutes ago. We don't have to be drug around by our emotions. So when I have a visceral response to something, lately I've been really taking note of it. Like, is this really the response I want to have? Do I really want to go here with my emotions? So yesterday I got a text message that was triggering and irritating, and I wanted to come back both defensively and offensively. 1,440. I talked to my kids about it this morning. I said, guys, you've got 1,440 minutes every day as a gift. How do you want to spend them? And we talked about, we brainstormed. If you want to, think of these now with me. How would you spend 1,440 minutes if you had them? Well, we talked about, we definitely want it somewhere in there. Sleep, eat, watch TV, play with the dogs, maybe clean up a bit, have fun, go outside and play, ride your bike, they talked about playing on their PlayStation. We'd want to, we listed and listed and listed. I don't want to spend any of those minutes engaging in unproductive, negative, irritating, dark, conversations that are absolutely and could be potentially a means of just heading in the wrong direction, going somewhere you've then got to come back and recover from. It's literally not how I want to spend any of my 1,440 minutes. So I was explaining that to the kids, that when someone says something mean to you, and then you say something mean back to them, and then they say something mean to you, and you say something mean back to them, that's eating up part of your 1,440 minutes. Yes, there are times where someone's hurting and they're lashing out because of their pain, and God may have us help them or minister to them or listen to them. But if He's not telling us to, I told my kids, just go. Just get away from it. Just avoid it altogether. It's not going to be productive. It's not going to be helpful. It's not going to be healing. It's going to be hurtful for all involved. And it's going to take up some of those minutes. Philippians 2:14, do all things without complaining or arguing. Not only does it negate our witness as Christians, it doesn't make following Christ look like much fun. But it's simply unproductive. 1,440. That's how many minutes we all have every day. Let us spend them exactly how He would want us to the minute. He says, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Come to me, all who are weary, and I will give you rest. Nehemiah 8:10, the joy of the Lord is my strength. That's been on my heart. I wanted to share that with you. You have 1,440 minutes every 24 hours. That's 1,440 little gifts to enjoy. Second number 4. I have a video called 20-day detox sugar, 20-day sugar detox update. It's below every single one of these videos. This is the moment where I remembered, or I realized, right now I'm remembering, automaticity creates capacity. Automaticity creates capacity. I might really regret doing all these little motions, because then I got to go back and I guess I don't have to. I could just leave it, make it look like I was being real dramatic, but I'm going to come back and put words there for this awesome cinematography. Automaticity creates capacity. When we automatize things in our life, then they no longer take the willpower or the brain power or the time, to be quite honest, because they're quicker, they're automatized. I am reminding myself of this. Automaticity creates capacity. The number 4. For the indefinite future, until God tells me otherwise, I'm going to eat 4 times a day. And I'm going to eat every 4 hours. So, and this is not going to be hard and fast, because you all know my schedule can sometimes flip and flop and turn on a dime. And if I'm not flexible, I'm in trouble. But what I can do is still space. So it could be 7, 11, 3, and 7. It could be 8, 12, 4, and 8. It could be 9, 1, 5, and 9. I think I got all those right. That sounds about right. Every 4 hours. I'm going to imagine my day, the gift of the day that God's given me, and I'm going to imagine stopping at a little gas station 4 times. Fuel, 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 fuel. Steady, 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 steady. Whether I feel like I need it or not, I'm going to baby wise myself. I've talked to y'all before, my word on water video about baby wise, where we meet our needs before we have to scream for them. I'm rarely thirsty because I give myself water before I'm thirsty. Did you know by the time you realize you're thirsty, you've been dehydrated for a while? So let's give ourselves water before we're dehydrated, food before we're starving, and rest before we're totally exhausted. Let's meet our needs systematically and consistently throughout the day. That was 2 numbers. And I just realized that's the phrase. Automaticity creates capacity. All that kind of tied in together. The 4 and the automaticity creating capacity. I'm going to eat 4 times a day, every 4 hours. So I just had breakfast, let's say at 8:30. I'll have lunch at 12:30. Which, by the way, gives me something to like not only look forward to but work towards. Like, okay, lunch is at 12:30 today, so I've got to hurry up and get this and this done because lunch is at 12:30. It'll give my day kind of like some motivation to like little not even a dangling carrot. Yes, I'm looking forward to it, but like an anchor, like a point. You know, on your GPS, when you can put in like point A, B, C, and D. I'm traveling. I've already been to A. Now I'm headed to B. And what all do I want to get? Where all do I want to stop on my way to B? I definitely want to call Darlene before I get to B. Okay. Time for 4 C's. 4 C's. What are they? Hang on. All right, that was pretty funny. I could not even begin to think of what the 4 C's were. I got them. Calm, consistent, confident. There's one more. Cortisol. Calm, consistent, confident, cortisol. John Gabriel, The Gabriel Method. I read this book years and years ago, and it really made sense to me that our bodies are aiming to help us out by either burning or storing fat, depending on how it perceives our external stressors to be impacting us. I just said a mouthful. Our bodies are wanting to help us, and they determine whether or not they should help us by either storing fat or burning fat. Either one of those two is our body's way of trying to help us out. And they determine that, should I store the fat or should I burn the fat? Depending on how our bodies interpret the stress around us. So why would our bodies want to store fat? Well, maybe our bodies are interpreting the stress around us to be a famine. Maybe there's a famine, so it thinks we better store all this. Or maybe cold temperatures. This is all kind of like back in the day kind of stuff. This is not 2021 type stressors. Stressors of sitting at a desk job all day long. The stress of being exhausted, working 2 jobs. The stress of just being in cyberspace all the time. And the stress of all that constant stimuli on our brain and interacting with people that aren't tangible. They're not near us, but it's still stressful. And the stressors of social media, the stressors of like I said, just burning the candle at both ends. And these are sort of current modern stressors. Our body doesn't know the difference. Our body just feels the stress and releases stress hormones. Why would it want to burn fat? Well, it might think you're getting ready to be chased by some wild animal because you're living out in the woods. So it thinks, no matter how much you eat, you need to be able to run, girl, so we got to get this fat off of you. Our bodies are aiming to help us out by either storing or burning fat. Like I've said many times, if you're very, very overweight, you can tell your body thank you. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that I've done this to you. I don't recommend talking to your body like it's a whole nother living being. It's a vehicle that you're in. The one we could apologize to is the one that gave us the vehicle. But in a lot of ways, I imagine he'd say, don't worry about it. No apology necessary. You had no idea what you were doing. Most of us have no idea what we're doing. I have a video called Do We Really Have to Eat All This? Answering Desiree's question, I believe, where I talk about the dump truck analogy, where it's like calling the local dump and saying, hey, I need a pencil. Can you please just open my front door? And after you collect everyone's trash, just dump it in the front door. This is what our body's doing, mining through, trying to find macro and micronutrients, trying to find carbohydrates, fats and proteins, vitamins and minerals. And what I've learned eating this way is I don't have to do that. I don't have to dump so much garbage into my body looking for a pencil. I can just go get a pencil. I can just go get carbs, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals. I can just go get those directly and give those to my body and skip the whole process of asking my body to then store, because it's way more than it could burn, and store all of that garbage. So, like I said, our bodies, I learned from John Gabriel and the Gabriel method that our bodies are either going to be in fat storage mode or fat burning mode. One sure way to be in fat storage mode is to have cortisol and insulin both spiked. Cortisol is a stress hormone, much like adrenaline. It's the fight or flight response to stress. So when we have a whole lot of stress and all of a sudden it's like a flood of what feels like energy, is cortisol. Cortisol is the chemical that wakes us up in the morning. And when our hormones are leveled out and we have melatonin seeping in at night and we fall asleep, and then cortisol, with the rhythm of the day and the sun starting to shine, cortisol is released, which gives us that like get up and go feeling. In the middle of the day, when something stressful happens and you get a surge of cortisol and you get that get up and go, that fight or flight, go, go, go. If you couple that with a huge meal, you are in fat storage mode. When cortisol and insulin are both spiked, you're storing fat. So when you have that response and eat a bunch of sugar, you're going to store it, basically. I'm sharing all this with you all because I'm realizing that I want to head towards goal weight. So I've got to be calm and consistent with my diet, which is why I'm going to eat 4 times a day every 4 hours, so that my body can feel confident. Our bodies have a mind of their own. We cannot force them to burn fat. They have to be confident that it's the right thing to do. We have to convince them to burn the fat. We have to convince them it's okay. We don't need it. We're good. Thank you so much, but you can release it. Calm, consistent, so my body can be confident and avoid cortisol. The other day, when I raced out the door and went with my husband, it was so unexpected. It was like fun stress, and then it like spiked, like through the roof, not fun stress, for about 12 minutes. It was like the most bizarre, not fun stress. And I was like talking to my husband like, oh my gosh. I asked him, please, don't ever do that to me again. It was very stressful, and there was someone else standing there. I'm not gonna, I want him and I figuring stuff out, not a bunch of extra people that have, what's it called, a dog in the race. They're obviously salespeople wanting to sales me stuff. And it got, here's my point. The cortisol shot through the roof. We went straight from that whole experience. And I mean, I was like jacked up on some cortisol, that fight or flight. I better flight because I was about to fight. Again, if I have to, I will make these videos from a jail cell. Hopefully I won't ever have to. Fight or flight, cortisol, adrenaline. We went straight from there out to lunch. And I was still so much of this racing through my system that when we ate our lunch, I told my husband, I was like, I don't even feel like I've eaten anything. I feel like it just never hit bottom. So I ate more, and we were eating this lunch together. It was a no sugar, no flour, no binging lunch, but I could tell I'm just going to have to just stop eating because I can't even, I had so much cortisol, so much of those fight or flight hormones racing through me. My appetite was so spiked. And I thought, oh goodness, this is the makings of fat storage mode that I don't want to be in, because I'm so happy my jeans are much more comfortable now just after a couple days of getting things headed in the right direction. If you'll notice, I can breathe and my jeans are buttoned, everybody. I don't mean to brag, but okay, so that's it. Even in the midst of chaos, I'll link it below. Jesus is the eye of our storm. He dwells within us. We can have a peace beyond understanding. We don't have to react to everything happening around us. We can be calm. Yes, the clock is ticking and I've got 5 kids that need to get to bed, and those 2, I thought they had a bath, they still need a bath. And I could decide, I could choose to freak out, or I could choose to say, none of my freak out is going to make the clock tick slower. None of my freak out is going to benefit my kids. It's only causing my jeans to get tight. That's all it's doing. It's not doing any good. I like the simple question, what good would it do? John West, I should know his name, John Wesley. I would say Wesleyan. John Wesley. Kind of the, what is he? Somebody help me out here. I did not grow up Methodist. The founder of Methodism. I'm obviously not real comfortable talking about this. I don't want to get this wrong, but he's the founder of the Methodist Church. He rode a horse all over and shared the gospel and set up small groups and did amazing stuff. And he has a quote of, do all the good you can in all the ways you can with all the people you can. His point is, do good. Do all the good. So I love the question, what good would that do? What good does it do to freak out? Like my soccer coach said, Emily, slow down, you'll get there faster. These types of videos are winding up. I will not be putting out videos like this after December 1st. So I'm happy to go ahead and kind of wrap all this up and say and remind us all, breathe, slow down, and enjoy. And knowing some of the science about weight loss that I do, I believe breathing, slowing down, and enjoying will help us reach our goals. Stay calm, be consistent, allow your body to feel confident that it can lose weight that it can release the fat and avoid cortisol, other than to wake up in the morning. But avoid, or at least be aware that when we're experiencing that fight or flight and our appetite's through the roof and we eat more than we'd probably like to be eating, we might also be in fat storage mode, storing all that. That's it. 2 numbers, 14, 40, and 4. A phrase, automaticity creates capacity. When we automatize things in our life, then we've created capacity for more. My video, More Than Sober. Sobriety is not the goal. Sobriety is the bridge to get us to our Jeremiah 29:11 and our Habakkuk 1:5. Sobriety is the bridge. Let's create capacity in our lives for more than forever trying to lose weight. Like I said in a comment once recently, God has plans for us. Plans far beyond getting skinny. And finally, the 4 C's. Calm, consistent, confident, and cortisol. I love you all. I am going to get going on this November 17th. I'm grateful for all the things my brain has to focus on today. And I might even work backwards from, I like to do this sometimes. I promised the girls that I would read them a book and play a match game with them. You know, where you fold the cards over and you flip them and try to, we have a little Noah's Ark match game. I might just work backwards because I keep telling them we're going to play that. I might go home and one of the first things I do is go into my bedroom on my hardwood floor and get that game set up so that we can work backwards from what time do I want to be playing that game. If I want to be playing that game, Greg and I do this all the time. We say all the time, let's work backwards. If we want to be playing the game at, let's say 7 o'clock, then we need to have dinner at 6 o'clock. If we want to have dinner at 6 o'clock, then I should roast a turkey probably before 5:45. Sometime today, I'm going to stick that turkey in the oven. It's going to happen. Hopefully tomorrow morning you will see a plate with some turkey on it. You'll know I roasted the turkey. I love you all. I will see you November 18th. I'll see you tomorrow. Susan Miller, thank you so much for your very thoughtful comments. I love that you put the date that you're praying for us today. That's so meaningful. It's so powerful. And it just is a reminder to stay focused on what's right in front of us. What's right inside of us. Jesus. 1,440 minutes. That's how many minutes we're given each day to spend. Thank you so much for spending 44 of them with me. I love you dearly, and I will see you tomorrow. I'll see you on November 18th, 2021.